Hello there. We're back at the layout. I have a day off. In fact, I've got 2 days in a row off, and it's just as well. We're expecting a huge winter storm, and around here, if you get winter storms, it doesn't go well. So what have I been up to? Well, I've been reading your comments, and a couple of them are very interesting. You have a dead dog beside the war memorial. I don't. He's come back to life again. There he is. He must have been having a sleep on the bottom step. The other thing was that there's a dead body at the end of the layout. This guy. Well, he's not dead, actually. He's just having a sniff of the ground. Seriously. We all have parts of layouts that are just like this, I'm quite sure. Let me show you what the issue is. This is my rather untidy workbench, and I'm going to explain why it's in that mess in a minute. And right in front of me, with the lights out, is the layout. And so right up here is where I tend to dump things. And there was a little dog that showed up, so I put him there, and now he's stood up. And that guy's been laying there for a minute. I was going to put him on the mast, but I wanted to put the ladder up there first. And the ladder is just down there, do you see? But I'm not sure I like the ladder. It's not really quite right. So I'm having a little bit of a think about him. Let me stand him up for you.
Oh, that's better. Hey, guess what I found?
I don't know, old man. What did you find?
Well, first of all, I'm not old, you cheeky beggar.
It looks like you got your hat down over your eyes.
Well, I'm standing on something you might want.
Oh, look. And there, my friends, is a windscreen wiper. Well, I do beg your pardon.
You're welcome.
The super observant amongst you noticed that I was missing a windscreen wiper. And one or two of you went through the videos and pointed out where it got lost. And quite rightly, there it is. So let's get that stuck back on while I think about it. So we're going to need some tools for this. There's a pair of tweezers. Now, the reason the workbench is in a big old mess is because I was afraid of losing that windscreen wiper. If it was still on the bench, I didn't want to lose it. So we need some glue. There's glue. And something to apply the glue with. A cotton tip. There we go. So now, this is old glue, but it is super glue, and that's really not load bearing at all, is it? So let's have a quick look here. About 10 times as much as we actually need, but there will be a little bit on there. Now then, this is going to be interesting. Let's use these pliers. My guess is it came off on the bench. The point motors, maybe? I wonder if that's what Shadow's hollering about. I've got to find a way of getting hold of this. Well, somebody's at the door. My son's up there, so I'm not worried, but she's quite frantic. Let me just check out what is that delivery. Well, sadly, it wasn't point motors. I was curious. I had to go and look. It was just the postman. And usually the postman says hello to the dogs, and this is a different one. Now, how do we do this? First move the glue, put the lid on the glue. That would be a good thing to do. At least pretend to put the lid on the glue, and then pop this in there. Oh my word. Are you in? Well, there we go. One windscreen wiper back where it's supposed to be. So thank you everybody that noticed that, because I hadn't. The flickering light is because I've got the the LED lights on. Let me turn that off. Stop the flicker for you. There we go, that's much better. Let me turn this one on. Something's not working. What's going on here? There we are, that's better. So now put this away. So now I can clear the bench up. What a lovely surprise. So windscreen wiper back in place. I am going to leave it on the bench just for a minute. Put that straight in the rubbish. And then we can clean up. What have I been up to since I saw you last? Well, this big battery on the bench is now significantly dead. That was the one that was causing the trouble from the UPS. The UPS looks after the computer, which looks after train controller, which looks after the layout. And so every time the power went out, it went out. So I finally got around to replacing the battery. That should give me an hour or so with uninterrupted power. And all it was a dead battery.
Terminal then, was it?
Oh dear. Now then, the windscreen wiper, believe it or not, showed up on the layout. So I may have knocked it off on the bench or something, but I had a good look round and couldn't see it. But it showed up on the layout. So it must have fallen off or been on my sleeve or something when it got up there. Not good. I need to be less clumsy. The other thing I've been doing since I saw you last is we have a generator. It's not a very big one, but it just is. It's enough to I can run it for an hour and keep the freezer freezing things. We're expecting the power to go out over the next couple of days. When we get ice here, it forms on the overhead power lines and down they come, or trees fall over and out goes the power. So that's been eating my time. One other thing I wanted to talk to you about. Yes, points. Let me show you. Somebody asked a question about the numbers. These numbers beside the points. It's not a very pretty way of doing it, but they are all over the place. If we go up here, it's number 8, and that's number 23. I was just looking to see which number that was there. You can't see the number anymore. It's probably 7, is it? 9. Once the layout's been controlled by the computer, you really don't need to know, but I need to find a better way of doing that so when I'm walking around handheld. Now, the question before I get distracted was, why don't I link that point with that one and have them both change at the same time? Since this is, if this changes, that one over there must. Otherwise, we're going to have a derailment. Yeah, that's true. However, just as with our automatic semaphore signal, the issue is you need to know that it's in the right place. And if the points do get out of sequence, as they are right now, so this one's for straight on, and look what's in front of it. So the issue is it's only changing the points it needs to change, although this arrangement can't happen. You don't need to change this point always. So it might be that one needs to change to make it come straight here, or you see what I mean? So it's not necessarily the case that this one needs to change when that one does. I'm not explaining this very well. Let me have another go. I'll show you. I'll leave that in because I know you love to see the bloopers. But let's have another try at that, shall we? Right, so here we are. Train's coming along this way. It's going over there and off that way. That point and this point then have to be set together. Now, to get the train to go straight on this way, I don't need both of them changing. I just need this one to change. There you go. And now the train can go straight on. In real life, I think they probably would set that one to straight, but I don't need that going on. On top of that, every now and again, these things get out of sequence. And if you then could only control it with both of them at the same time, it would just never get right. So that there has to be a way of doing that. So that's the why I don't do that. On top of that, you've then got two lots of current at the same time, and I prefer to not do that. Now then, on with the construction. A couple of comments about the underground station. Somebody said that if I turned it and put the platforms on either side, it would use more space. Absolutely right. The moment you put platforms on the side, they're going to be more than half the width of this. And then on top of that, you have the space between the tracks that comes into play. So the distance between here and there would increase, not decrease. So yeah, probably will stay with an island platform. Do need to come up with a name. But more importantly, where does it go? If it goes there, there is room for, because we used to have another siding under there. I'm going to clear everything off and just see how many storage lanes we can get in here. I think we can probably get another one or two. But let's get it cleared up and we can squeeze things in. There's plenty of room under here for another storage line. It's just got to get there. It would have to get there through the end of this, of course, that way. Why am I so intent on storage lines? Well, there's too many trains on the layout. Not too many trains. There can't be that, but there are too many on the layout. And so we need either a fiddle yard or more storage lines. Same thing, just... you've seen me talking about vertical storage. Is it vertical? Yeah, where they're going up and down. They're horizontal when they do it, but they're going up and down. There's a number of commercially available products I've found. Now I've had a dig. One of them is specifically for N-gauge, and it does look rather like the jewellery display I described. I didn't know it existed. There's one or two others. There's a new one on the market. I forget what it's called, but it starts at how much? It can wait. I'm not made of money. This is an expensive hobby, and I desperately am trying to use what I have and only buy things that are essential or that would vastly improve the layout. So we may end up building one of those eventually, but for right now, we've got other things to worry about, like this yard we're supposed to be getting on with. So that's what we're going to do. One thing more. I know you want to see me rip things up, but one thing more. Let me talk to you about design creep. Now, design creep, what that means is that you come up with a plan and then you think, well, if I just add this or just add that. And somebody suggested having the yard more or less where the main lines are now, and instead of putting a runaround on the other end, running it into the incline. So now you can bring freight trains in from both ends. No. Here's why not. First of all, that would be design creep. So what you're doing is, well, I'm just adding this and just adding that. The plan was to add a freight yard, a freight terminal with a runaround, and the legitimacy of the operation, let's say that, is that trains come into the freight yard, do their thing, and go back out again, simulated by an out around the loop at the end and back again, all on one level, all at the upper level. So then the 71 would never, in normal operation, come away from this upper level. So presumably down there somewhere is the ferry terminal, which would make sense since that's more Manston Airport-ish, isn't it? So down on the southeast coast somewhere, not all that far from the ferry port. Honestly, the bigger thing is putting points on the top of an incline. So trains would then have to be stop and starting again on the incline. And that's one of the problems with inclines, especially when we've got the Battle of Britain class and the spam cans with the big wheels, that where they simply don't like inclines. So stopping a train, once it's moving, don't stop it. So that's an issue. which is also why I'm not so keen on the Helix. Yeah, I know they work and I know they're wonderful. I'd love to have one, but I just don't have the well, the space I do have. You see, I'm trying to make up arguments for not having one now, aren't I? No, it's just a lot of work and a lot of expense. Let's see, but no to the double-ended freight yard. I think it's going to add to the modeling environment if we don't do that, quite apart from the practical constraints. All right, let's get on with something at least. Now, power tools and me go back a long way. I used to do some electrical install work. This is a multi-tool, best tool I ever bought. It's mucky. I don't know what I've been doing with it. It's got a rotten blade in it. Look, the blade's worn out. You can work without a drill. You can always turn a screwdriver, but this is brilliant. If I can get it under there, we'll give it a go. And it makes a horrible noise, but let's see if I can get it to work. It's a great tool. It doesn't carve up the one underneath, and these great solid chunks of plaster just come right out. Yeah, that is solid plaster. Can't believe I do not like plaster. The more I've used it, the less I'm happy with it. It doesn't tear up the ballast. I think Frank's quite happy with that, and it loosens everything up. So we're getting there, but I knew don't get this wet. So if it gets wet, you're going to tear up the ballast underneath. You might want to get off there, Frank. All right. This is one of the few times I will not run trains all the time there's anything of this dust still around, because it just gets into everything. Ask me how I know. And we'll get a big chunk of this out and then move further down the layout. I think there's a wooden lid on that, is there? There isn't. So we should be able to slice right through that. Here we go. And you can see how there we are. We're getting away with getting underneath of that kind of nicely, but it is removing the plaster without damaging everything else. There's a mesh that's inside this. You see it? It's not a bad construction method. It's there we are, like I think it's like bug screen, they call it here. It's just a cloth and then you smear stuff on it and it sticks. But when it does come apart, then you see the back is untreated and so it's still chalky. And it gets stuck everywhere. So we've got to get, I hope the ballast isn't on top of it. So we've got to get that bit up. So I will be cleaning up for a while. It smells of plaster, if you know what that smell is. And I've just laid that track too, so you have to be a bit careful. You might notice I use the side of the blade as well. It's an old blade, it doesn't matter. And we'll have to clean up as we go. Might have lost Frank in the middle of all of this. Yeah, big old mess. So today's task will be to remove this part of the layout, cutting back to about there. I am being a little bit cautious of things. The vibration of that has moved out. I didn't touch it, but it was moving around. So you do want to be a bit careful with that stuff. But yeah, can you see the reason for not using plaster? Ick. Second favorite tool, new. That is until the battery goes flat, which I need to get charged because if I don't, I won't. Well, I won't be able to, if you know what I mean. With a growing line of batteries needing charging and the track clean enough, that's the sort of thing that will get inside a locomotive though. Let's see what we got over here. One more slurp and then we'll run a train. How about that? Just to show we still can. I think we'll avoid that track. It's getting a bit precarious up there. And some of the supports are no longer there. But we will run something. Yes, I know the computer's not on, but that's because I shut it down. I did save everything before I did. About that signal. It's one of the times where that can't possibly be right. But there's underground trains here. There's trains parked out on the main line. But I still think... Oop. Lights just came on. Did you see that? It means the computer's ready for me to play. So yeah, we will get on with it, I suppose. You see, when you shut it down properly, it comes back properly. Love it. Well, there it goes. Windscreen wiper intact. It's gone through the construction zone quite nicely. Yes, we need to come up with a name for that branch line station and the underground station. Denton is high on the list, Denton something or other. Since we've got the den thing going, why not? I do love that you can just run trains even in the middle of construction. The whole point of a layout is to run it. Now I have a feeling this train is going to overrun when it gets down here. That's a scene you won't see very often. Yeah, especially with the two EMUs over there. Where has it got to? Here it comes. Now, do you still have all 4 windscreen wipers? You do. Love it. Well, that's it for another one. I will continue to get rid of the rest of the old piece of scenery down there. I'll charge some batteries and come back and finish that later, and then we'll remove the upper deck. In the meantime, the normal commuter service is disrupted. It's not leaves on the line, it's Frank and his plaster. Righto, see you next time.